माननीय सभासदों, माननीय सभापति जी,
Question 201. Please, question law. No, Dr. Matrian, please, no showing of newspapers.
201, sir.
No showing of newspapers. No.
Sir, we have important issue.
Please. What is this? What is this? Please don't display banners on newspapers. Zero hour. No. Please. भाई ये क्या कर रहे हैं? Please sit down. Dr. Maitreyan, please don't. This is question hour. No other subject will be taken up. Address the chair, not. House is adjourned for 10 minutes.
माननीय सभासदों, माननीय सभापति जी,
Question 201. Please sit down. Question 201. What is this?
Sir, 201. No, I said 201. Yes,
What
sir.
is this?
सर क्वेश्चन आंसर होना चाहिए।
Question 201. Supplementaries, please.
Sir, lakhs of crores of
Supplementaries,
taxpayer and
please.
public money have been invested in public sector units around the country. Sir, by this answer alone, 1,57,211 crores have been invested in 6 PSUs alone, sir. But there is hardly any discussion in Parliament or otherwise about the performance and mismanagement of these investments, except in COPU and some committees of Parliament. Sir, it is high time there is more transparency and debate about these investments. And so my first question, sir, is the answer to my question doesn't reveal any change in the approach vis-a-vis capitalizing sick PSUs. Does the government believe in simply investing more taxpayer and public money into PSUs without any restructuring or change in the sick PSUs? Because this amounts to a diversion of money from social causes. What strict preconditions does the finance minister propose before further public money is invested into sick PSUs
Please.
to ensure that this is not more money being pumped into further losses, sir?
Sir, the answer has been given on basis of the bureau which was set up by the past government, which went into this question of assisting the PSUs. Now the bureau had given a detailed report on basis of which a large number of PSUs got central assistance from the budgetary grants, and some of them could not. Only a few of them, 19 of them, have turned around and become profit-making. The rest are still loss-making. The present government will take a detailed view in the matter, keeping the suggestion which the honourable member has made in mind with regard to the functioning of these PSUs.
Sir, our second supplementary is, will the finance minister please share what the government's approach to managing these PSUs and investments will be in the future, as different from the previous government, sir? Like perhaps a holding company for all public investments.
With regard to the structure the honourable member is suggesting, whether they function alone or they function collectively under a holding company, I do not think that itself is going to make a difference. We have to ensure that these PSUs, in which a very large number of employees are there and a large amount of public investment is struck, learn to function, and their management has the capacity to function in a competitive environment, because they are competing in the same field with other private sector companies, and unless they can function in that competitive environment, it may become very difficult for them to really survive in that environment.
Shri Bhattacharjee.
We have seen that the government is going to take certain measures to improve the PSU. It is fine. But would you, the minister, can reply us how they like to run the PSUs? In so many cases we have seen the retired IAS people or the state administrative people, they are running the PSU and they have no intention to run the PSU properly. On the contrary, they are misusing their power. They have no technical knowledge. So many industries I have seen in West Bengal and other part of the country where the PSUs are sick due to the bad management and the labor troubles. What are the steps government is thinking to put the proper technocrats so that they can run the PSU properly?
So the functioning of each of these PSUs is really in relation to the concerned department of the government under whose jurisdiction they fall. There is no single department which runs them, because it may depend on which field of activity they are in, they relate to that department. But I do agree with the honourable member, because as I said, this reply has been given on basis of the report of the bureau which was set up by the UPA government, which went into the functioning of these PSUs, which tried to revive some of these PSUs. There are 79 of them which are completely loss-making. 19 of them have turned around. And therefore, the management of these PSUs has to be professionalized. It has to be run by people who know how to run businesses. These PSUs will have to run like businesses because they are running in a competitive environment. They cannot run as a department of the government. They are no longer functioning in a monopoly area where people will buy their products irrespective of whether they are competitive or not. So the management will have to tune itself to a complete market economy and a competitive environment.
Shri Tapan said.
Thank you, Chairman, sir. The reply that has been given that 48 CPSEs, for them the approval for revival is granted. Sir, there are many more PSEs whose product is hotly traded in this market, like switchgear, like tire. The number of PSUs are there who also BRPSC has issued winding up order. And the basic reason is not understandable, because those PSUs are having enough revival potential. If their properly capital investment is made, they can revive and they can earn regularly for the public exchequer in a big way. My question is that public money investment in PSUs, yes, definitely there is a problem, but public sector as a whole in our country generates huge surplus which can be harnessed in reviving these sick PSUs. Particularly, I draw your attention to the point that instead of going in for disinvesting in those areas, Finance Minister in his budget speech, you have also told that during last 1 year period, the PSUs as a whole has invested 2,47,000 crore capital investment in the economy, which has kept the national economy afloat. 1 year, that
what is the question?
Investment. So my point is that they are generating for themselves. My question is that whether Finance Minister or the concerned ministries of the government as a whole should seriously consider revival, proper capital investment of the revival of all the sick PSUs, particularly which is having a good market.
Thank you.
Having good efficiencies, particularly like
Thank you.
Bicolori, like Tire Corporation of India,
Thank
like
you.
Hindustan Cables, whether you are considering in revival
Mr.
of
Tapan
them,
Singh, please, this is
using
not
the,
a speech.
let me complete, using the huge reserve and surplus these all PSUs are having,
Thank you.
which is to the tune of 6 lakh crore.
Thank you.
Sir, there are PSUs and PSUs. Therefore, when my learned friend says, the honorable member, that all PSUs must collectively be seen, there are oil PSUs, there are gas PSUs, and therefore there are PSUs which function in the manufacturing sector. There are several defense PSUs which are, some of which are functioning well. Now, therefore, you can't club PSUs as a whole to say that this is a whole class, everybody is functioning badly or everybody is functioning well. You have to look at it from a PSU to PSU. The honorable member in this house will keep in mind that these are 79 PSUs we are dealing with, which have become over the period of time as loss-making. The total amount of public investment which is struck in these PSUs is quite large. It is about 1,57,000 crores or so. Now, a large number of their loans, over 40,000 crores, have been written off in the books. Over 10,000 crores from the budget have been physically pumped into to make them going. And if you see their performance, the revival and restructuring package, already in 31 of them, has been made. 7 of them are going to be revived through a joint venture or a disinvestment process. Revival through merger with other PSUs is applicable to 7 of them. There is another proposal which the honorable member, Mr. Rajiv Chandrasekhar, just asked, by giving them to a holding company in relation to 3 of them. Now, there are 4 of them which the government has felt are incapable of revival. And therefore, with regard to them, you may have to take the extreme step of winding up because they can't be revived. The decision, therefore, as to what is to be done with each one of them will have to be PSU specific. A very large number of them are already in the BIFR itself. And therefore, efforts are being made to have rehabilitation schemes through the BIFR.
Shri Vijay Goyal.
लगातार हम सुनते आए हैं कि पीएसयूज ज़्यादातर लॉसेस में चल रहे हैं या सिक हैं। जैसा मंत्री जी ने भी बताया कि 79 लॉसेस में हैं, 49 सिक हैं। तो टोटल पीएसयूज कितने हैं? और एक पीएसयू में एक चेयरमैन होता है, वो सिक होती है, वो लॉसेस में जाती है, उसके बाद वही चेयरमैन दूसरे पीएसयू में चला जाता है। तो मंत्री जी ये बताने की कृपा करेंगे कि अकाउंटेबिलिटी फिक्स की गई है, कितने लोगों को पनिश किया गया है, सैक किया गया है, नहीं तो इसी तरह से ये क्रम चलेगा। दूसरा, कितनी अब
एक सवाल पूछिए,
डिसइन्वेस्ट करने वाले हैं और कितने को क्लोज डाउन करने वाले हैं, ये मैं जानना चाहता हूँ।
प्लीज आंसर वन पार्ट ऑफ द क्वेश्चन, वन क्वेश्चन।
सर, मैंने अभी माननीय सदस्य तपन सिंह जी के प्रश्न के उत्तर में कहा कि इस वक्त डिसइन्वेस्टमेंट और जॉइंट वेंचर के माध्यम से 7 पीएसयूज का रिवाइवल हो रहा है, क्योंकि प्राथमिकता ये है कि वहाँ जो पूंजी लगी हुई है, वहाँ जो कर्मचारी काम कर रहे हैं, वो अपने रोजगार से बाहर ना जाएं, तो इसलिए किसी तरीके से वो लोग रिवाइव हो पाएं। इसी प्रकार से 31 पीएसयूज ऐसे हैं जिनको मौजूदा ढांचे में ही सरकार ने अपनी योजना से रिवाइव करने का प्रयास किया है। 4 ऐसे हैं जिनके संबंध में लगता है कि ये शायद रिवाइव नहीं हो पाएंगे, इसलिए उनको वाइंड अप करने का ही निर्णय है। अकाउंटेबिलिटी पीएसयू स्पेसिफिक वाइज है। अगर किसी विशेष पीएसयू के बारे में माननीय सदस्य जानना चाहे तो मैं वो जानकारी दे सकता हूं।
थैंक यू। क्वेश्चन 202।
Question number 202, sir.
So the answer has been tabled before the House.
Supplementary.
So, Chairman, sir, the Honorable Finance Minister, ever since he has taken charge, has been painting an extremely gloomy picture on the performance of the UPA government. Even in his budget speech, he had painted an extremely gloomy picture about the performance of the UPA government. But by his own admission, the indicators that he has given reflect that the UPA government outperformed the NDA government at every sector. For example, Mr. Chairman, sir, in GDP, their increase in 6 at constant price, 2004-2005, it went up only by 7 lakh crores. During our tenure, it has gone up by 30 lakh crores. The second point, sir, the debt GDP ratio, which was at 67.11 during their tenure, went up to 83.23% of the GDP, while during our term, from 83.23 has come down to 65.43.
What is the question?
So my question is, with these statistics on the table of the House and admission by the Honorable Finance Minister, would he change his opinion about the performance of the UPA government? If he does not, would he explain why?
Sir, both in the discussion which took place in the other house and also in my budget speech, I had tried to be as non-partisan as possible. But there are some people who were born to be partisan. And this question is born out of that spirit. The nature of the question itself makes it very clear. Now, every government tries to put in its best as far as the performance of the economy is concerned. A large number of issues relating to the economy are not necessarily adversarial in character. There are years where the economy has done extremely well. This can be because of domestic factors, this can be because of the global factors, and at times, on account of similar factors, the economy may start doing badly itself. Now, I have an opinion which I don't think it is necessary for me to express it on the functioning of the previous government, because I am going to be judged by how my government does, and not how much I managed to criticize the previous government. But the honourable member may bear in mind that the full truth really is the UPA government inherited a 8% GDP growth. You have left behind a 4.5 and a 4.7% GDP growth. In between, in some of the years, the economy in its performance had peaked. But then my comment at various stages has been in relation to the last 1 year, a stage in which we have inherited the economy in its present state, compared to what it was in 2007, 8, etc., where the economy was doing well. At the present moment, the economy is in a more challenging situation. That's all I have said.
Second question, please.
Sir, I would like to point out to the Honorable Finance Minister, from a low base of 2002-2003, which was 3.9%, which was the lowest ever, they have grown up to 8.3 because of the lower base in 2002-2003, not because of any outstanding performance of the NDA government. What I'm trying to say is, Honorable Chairman, sir, is that he has leveled a charge against me of being partisan. In fact, his statement by itself is partisan. I would like to
come to the question.
Yes, question is, sir, would he again reconsider changing his opinion about the performance of the UPA?
Well, I think in the course of this week, we are going to discuss the general budget, and next week, hopefully, the finance bill. I'll give my learned friend the detailed opinion on that occasion. Now, this low base, high base doesn't help. For the simple reason, in a year in which you have an East Asian crisis, or you have a global slowdown, or you have a subprime, irrespective of the political complexion of the government in Delhi, the economy may face situations. For instance, in the year 1999-2000, on a high base of 6.9, the economy still grew by 8%.
Shri Sekando Sekhar Roy.
Sir, I was born free, but I am not partisan. I am putting a question to the Honorable Finance Minister, because there was a demand from the majority of the states, particularly the debt-ridden states, that there should be sharing of 50-50 resources between the states and the central government. So my question is, because the government is in perpetuity, it cannot be isolated with a particular political party. Whether the government has made any recommendation to the 14th Finance Commission to extend the sharing of the resources between the center and the states on the basis of 50-50 ratio?
So the consultations of the Finance Commission, both with the central government and the state governments, is an ongoing process. It is still on. The governments are in the process of expressing their opinion. The report of the Finance Commission is expected this year itself. And therefore, the question which has been of great concern to the honourable member, since he is from West Bengal, and West Bengal, along with two other states, is one of the states which is affected, the other two being Punjab and Kerala. All these contentions are being raised by states before the Finance Commission, and we'll have to wait for the report of the Finance Commission before they express their view on this particular subject. Whatever is the view, the central government will comply with that view accordingly.
Shri Naresh Gujral.
Sir, the UPA government had been resorting to a lot of window dressing of the balance sheet to show a healthy fiscal deficit. My specific question is it a fact that in the last year, a large amount of income tax refunds were withheld, subsidies were postponed to the next year, and a lot of income was preponed by making PSUs give 500% to 600% dividends, which threaten the very health of the PSUs?
Sir, as far as there is a process in which the accounting of the Government of India is made. That process itself is a credible process. Various comments have been made on this subject, and I have been reading a large number of those comments. But as far as the government is concerned, I would like to say that the government stands by whatever figures are mentioned in the regular reports of the government which have been coming, as also in the economic survey. I do not wish to create any confusion in the market on that score, and therefore we will act on basis presuming that the figures which are mentioned are correct.
Shri P. Rajiv.
My question regarding the second part of the main question, that is the share of states. It is alarming that while we are looking to my own state, Kerala, in 2000 to 2004-5, the share in service and expenditure 3.097, it has been reduced to 2.378%. And share in other taxes and duties, in 2001 to 2004-5, it is 3.057. It has been reduced to 2.341, sir. This is the general trend, sir. As per another data, the gross distribution and transfer, GDP as percentage of GDP, in 1991, that is the distribution to states, GDP. In 1991, it was 7.2% of GDP. Now, it has been reduced to 5% of GDP. This is a very serious issue for all states in our country, sir. All funds are concentrated in central government. This government have imposed cess. Now they are continuing the cess. If it is cess, there is no provision for transferring to state government, sir. Then my question, I'm joined with Sugodra's question, what is the government position? Whether the government is ready. What about the Finance Commission recommendation? What is central government position to share 50-50% to the tax?
Thank you.
Taxes increase, indirect taxes reduce.
And direct taxes is increased and reduced, and indirect tax has been increased.
Thank you.
Well, as far as the government is concerned, the government is certainly concerned with regard to the fiscal health of the states. And therefore, in regard to that, since the consultations are on, the government will be making a presentation before the Finance Commission itself. But at the same time, the government is also concerned with the fiscal discipline of the states. And when my learned friend, the honourable member from Kerala, asked this question, the difference between the 12th and the 13th Finance Commission in the various criteria that they adopted was that the 12th Finance Commission, in terms of percentage weightage, fiscal discipline in 12th got 7.5%. This increased to 17.5%. Therefore, the Finance Commission also has been following a criteria that it wants to incentivize the following of a particular fiscal discipline by the states. and it's because of that reason that the numbers itself may vary. I think helping the states is one important criteria, but at the same time, the states also realizing that maintenance of fiscal discipline for them is important.
Question 203.
Question number 203, please.
So the answer has been tabled before the House.
Honorable Sir, Chairman Sir, despite showering of our goodwill, gestures from time to Pakistan has always hipped and hitted, promoted terror against India and consistently violating case fire in Kashmir. So through you, I would like to know from the Honorable Minister that how many times Pakistan violated the case fire during the last 12 months, month-wise, and number of such violations after the present NDA government came into the power, and how many Indian security personnel were killed, wounded during this violation by Pakistan. Even during the last week, a BSF Jawan was killed and many wounded.
Thank you.
Sir, the month-wise figures can be given because the figures are maintained, but no figures are maintained on the basis of how many ceasefire violations took place when the particular political complexion of the government in Delhi was of a particular kind. For instance, the violations predominantly have taken place both at the LOC, which is predominantly under the Army's control, and the international border, which is under the control of the BSF. For instance, in the last year, that is 2013, the total number of violations which took place in the area under Army's control, which means the LOC and a very small part of the international border just above the Chenab River, it was 199. At the international border, which is under the BSF's control, it was 148. This year, up to mid-July, that is 17th July 2014, the total number of violations in these two categories are 47 and 9. Amongst all the years from 2004 downwards, 2013, the number of violations were higher. This year, compared to 2013, they are slightly less.
My specific supplementary is what is preventing the government of India in taking wafting action against Pakistan if it is international law. Convention and diplomacy same applies to Pakistan also. And Pakistan does not bother for such law, convention or diplomacy, then why the one-sided respect for international law, etc. by India? So whether government will assure the House that it will be follow zero tolerance policy against Pakistan case fire violation and give a wafting reply to the manner tit for tat. Thank you, sir.
Sir, the government's policy consistently has been that we take action proportionately depending on the extent of ceasefire violation. Where retaliations are required, retaliations are done. Where preventive action is required, preventive actions are done. Where the tensions can be diluted by a dialogue between the DGMOs, which is done on a weekly basis, it is done on that basis. Whatever action is taken, further follow-up action on basis of whatever our diplomatic responses are also to be measured in terms of the extent of the provocations which take place at the line of control.
The Honourable Leader of Opposition.
सर, डिफेंस मिनिस्टर ने अपने जवाब में बताया कि मेरे पास आंकड़े हैं हर साल के, हर महीने के, लेकिन ये ज़रूरी नहीं है कि गवर्नमेंट चेंज होने के बाद या गवर्नमेंट चेंज होने से पहले क्या नंबर थे। मेरे ख्याल में ऑनरेबल दूत ने जो सवाल पूछा था, ये तो बिल्कुल स्पष्ट है कि जब से पाकिस्तान के प्रधानमंत्री यहाँ ओथ सेरेमनी के लिए बुलाए गए थे और शायद आज़ादी के बाद ये पहली दफ़ा हुआ कि पाकिस्तान के प्रधानमंत्री को ओथ सेरेमनी में बुलाया गया, और शायद प्रधानमंत्री की ये मंशा थी कि इलेक्शन के दौरान एक ही मुद्दा पाकिस्तान और हिंदुस्तान के बारे में हर पब्लिक मीटिंग में दोहराया गया था कि यूपीए की गवर्नमेंट कमज़ोर है और इसी वजह से सीज फायर वायलेशन जम्मू कश्मीर में होते हैं और वो स्टैंड अप नहीं होते हैं, खड़े नहीं होते हैं पाकिस्तान की लीडरशिप के सामने। और जब ये नई गवर्नमेंट आएगी तो हम सर झुका के नहीं बल्कि सर उठा के बात करेंगे
सवाल
और
पूछ लीजिए।
उनका जवाब देंगे। तो आज अब सर क्यों झुक गया है, आज क्यों इतनी वायलेशन होती है? मैं जानना चाहता हूं जब से नई गवर्नमेंट आई है तब से कितने सीज फायर वायलेशन हुए?
जी, ना तो सर झुका है और ना ही कोई इस प्रकार का, और ना ही लीडर ऑफ ऑपोजिशन इस बात की से सेटिस्फाइड रहे कि ये सरकार न ही सर झुकने देगी। और इसलिए और ना ही कोई ऐसा आंकड़ा है और इस आंकड़े को अज्यूम करने की आपको आवश्यकता नहीं है कि 26 मई के बाद किसी प्रकार से ये इंटेंसिटी बढ़ी है। अगर आपने जानना चाहा कि भाई पॉलिटिकल कम्प्लेक्शन के हिसाब से बताओ, तो मैंने पिछले सवाल के उत्तर में कहा था कि इन चीजों को राजनीतिक नजरिए से मत देखें, लेकिन क्योंकि आप इंडो पाक रिलेशंस को भी, इंडो पाक रिलेशंस और सीज फायर वायलेशंस में भी राजनीति देखना चाहते हैं, तो मैं आपको बतला दूं जिस भावना से आपने प्रश्न पूछा है उसी भावना से मैं भी जवाब दे दूं। 2004 में जब आपके हाथ में हुकूमत छोड़ के गए थे तो पूरे साल में केवल एक वायलेशन था। जब 2013 में जो आपका पूर्ण वर्ष था शासन का, उसमें 199 प्लस 148 वायलेशंस थे। आपने जब सरकार शुरू की थी, जब आपने सरकार अपने हाथ में ली थी, जब सरकार आपने हाथ में ली थी तो एक वायलेशन था पहले वर्ष में, जब आपने छोड़ी है तो 199 प्लस 148 था। आपने जानना चाहा कि 27 मई के बाद कितने सीज फायर वायलेशन हुए हैं। हर वायलेशन में रिटेलिएशन दिया गया है। एक्चुअल आंकड़ा जो पिछले साल का 347 था, 27 मई से 17 जुलाई तक 19 वायलेशन पाकिस्तान ने सीज फायर वायलेशन के किए हैं, जिनमें रिटेलिएटरी एक्शन हमारी फौज लेती है।
श्री अविनाश राय खन्ना।
धन्यवाद सर, मैं माननीय मंत्री से जानना चाहता हूं कि जब भी ये फायर होता है तो उस समय बहुत सी बिल्डिंग्स को नुकसान होता है और खेती को नुकसान होता है। तो मेरा सिंपल क्वेश्चन है, क्या सरकार जब ऐसा नुकसान होता है तो उन किसानों को या जिनका नुकसान हुआ है उनके कंपनसेशन देने पर कोई विचार करेगी सर?
माननीय सदस्य ने सुझाव दिया है, इस सुझाव के ऊपर निश्चित रूप से हम विचार करेंगे।
श्री नरेंद्र कैशप।
सभापति महोदय, 16 जुलाई को अर्निया सेक्टर में पाकिस्तान रेंजर की तरफ से फायरिंग हुआ, गोलाबारी हुई, जिसमें संजय धर नामक बीएसएफ का जवान शहीद हुआ, 3 और जवान जख्मी हुए, 3 किसान जख्मी हुए, एक 8वीं क्लास का स्टूडेंट जख्मी हुआ। मैं सभापति महोदय आपके माध्यम से सरकार से यह जानना चाहता हूं कि आरएसपुरा, बिसना, पुंछ एरिया में गोलाबारी की वजह से आज भी किसान धान की बुआई नहीं कर सके हैं। क्या सरकार जो किसान गोलाबारी की वजह से धान की बुआई नहीं कर सके हैं उनको कंपनसेशन देने के बारे में, और संजय धर जो बीएसएफ का जवान शहीद हुआ है उनके परिवार वालों को क्या 1 करोड़ रुपए की राशि देने पर, और जो जख्मी हुए हैं उनके परिवार के लोगों को क्या आर्थिक सहायता देने की घोषणा माननीय मंत्री जी करेंगे?
Thank you.
अध्यक्ष जी, जहाँ तक किसी भी शहीद जवान का, चाहे सेना का हो चाहे पैरामिलिट्री फोर्सेस का हो, उसके बिल्कुल मापदंड स्पष्ट बने हुए हैं और कोई भी ऐसा केस जख्मी होने का या किसी की अगर शहीदी होती है उसके संबंध में ऐसा नहीं है जिसको मुआवजा न मिले। पूरे मापदंड के मुताबिक मुआवजा मिलेगा। मैंने पिछले प्रश्न के उत्तर में कहा कि पहले भी हम लोग इस पे विचार कर रहे थे कि जो किसान इसकी वजह से प्रभावित होते हैं कि उनके संबंध में क्या योजना सरकार को बनानी है।
Thank you. Question 204.
Similar questions. The answer has been placed before the House.
Sir, I would like to inform to the Honorable Minister, our UPA government had brought down current account deficit, that is the CAD, from 4.7% of GDP in 2012 to 13. That is when
Please,
global meltdown time and announced by US Federal about tapping of assets purchase to 1.7 in 2013 to 14. So RBI had brought down a record $19 billion in the forward market in May with the aim to contain the volatility of rupee. So now I would like to say, as you all know, sir, rupee we must bring down to 55 rupees. So UPA government was making all efforts. We were about successful, but miraculously we went that side, we went this side. So now this is the challenge for NDA government, the efforts what we were doing by UPA, how we are going to do. Now we would like to again remind you, we have to import every day 4 billion barrels of crude oil for the country. And also for the power plants also had to import so much equipment also. So now I would like to ask the minister, what measures you are taking, concrete measures, in the continuation of the measures we continue started by the UPA government to arrest the dollar controlling.
Thank you.
Sir, as far as the current account deficit is concerned, this had become a very major challenge for the period 2012 onwards. And one of the principal reasons was that there was a large amount of foreign currency which was being pulled out of this country on account of the policy changes which took place in the United States, as the Honorable Member himself has mentioned. At that stage, the fiscal deficit had reached a high point. The current account deficit had reached a high point of 4.7% itself. Now, this was extremely worrisome, as a result of which the rupee-dollar rate had been completely disturbed and had gone up to 68. Since then, a particular element of discipline into the economy was introduced. Non-essential imports were being discouraged. Several steps were taken. Each one of those steps is being continued to make sure that the current account deficit is kept under containable limits. Current account deficit has come down to 1.7%, and we are making an effort to make sure that it is maintained under the as far as under the containable limits is concerned. The large number of steps which I have indicated in the reply are all steps which had been initiated by the UPA government, and therefore, since on account of some of those very specific steps, all those steps are being continued currently to make sure that the current CAD is maintained at that level.
Shri Tiruchi Siva. Oh, sorry. Second question. Yes, sorry.
So my question is, what measures are taken by the government and RBI to helping to contain India's current account deficit to US dollars 32.4 billions in 2013-14, from level to US dollars 88.2 billions, and built up foreign exchange reserves to level of US $316.4 billion by July 2014.
Thank you.
Sir, all these steps are described in the reply itself. Non-essential imports, particularly in relation to gold, were restricted. The custom duties were hiked. A 80-20 policy was introduced. The 80-20 policy is that out of the entire gold which is imported, at least 20% has to be exported back after value addition of some form. There was a liberalization of the FDI in certain sectors. A further liberalization has been announced by the present government itself. The slow increase in the diesel prices itself intended to restrict the use of items on which there is a lot of foreign exchange outgo. The RBI itself took several steps at tightening the liquidity. Their own moves, the RBI further, there was also an incentive given to mobilize, to the banks to mobilize foreign currency resources from the NRIs. The Commerce Ministry came out with several export promotion schemes, most of which are continuing. And these steps have contained the fiscal deficit, the current account deficit, and efforts are being made to continue each one of these policies. Till
no further supplementaries. Shri Tirujit Siva.
Thank you, Sir, very simple question, sir. Sir, the appreciation in the rupee value, of course, will help building foreign reserves to attract more FDIs. My simple question is, when the rupee value appreciates, yes, it gains the confidence of the foreign investors. At the same time, there is an apprehension that our exporters are affected. What are the measures the government intend to take to maintain the stability of the exchange rate in a manner that would gain the confidence of the investors as well as to protect the exporters in our country? Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So the rupee has to be kept at a rate which is real, and this rate really is now determined by the market itself. The RBI itself, which manages this rate, does not target any specific rate. The RBI intervenes only to smoothen the exchange rate volatility and prevent disruptions which take place. And therefore, one of the efforts which the governments make through their policy is that our foreign exchange earnings through various methods, whether it is FDI, FII, through exports, through external commercial borrowings, itself continues to increase, because an imbalance between the extent of foreign exchange that we spent and the foreign exchange that comes into the country should not increase to a limit where it cannot be managed. That is what upsets the rupee-dollar rate at that time.
Shri Prabhakar Kore.
Specific question. While election time, before election, the rupee falls 69 to 70 rupees. Or it may be 1 month. In market there are rumors, the money which are black money kept outside. The money is coming inside the country for the election purpose. Is it a fact, sir?
Sir, I think the real crisis started in May 2013 with the rollback of the quantitative easing by the US Federal Reserve. When the US Federal Reserve, which was putting in about $85 billion into the market, they announced their intention to ease this situation, as a result of which foreign currency in terms of dollars was being pulled out from various other economies, which created this particular balance. This process started in May 2013. It is at that stage that the UPA government, through the Finance Ministry, started a series of steps. Some of them were harsh steps like these restrictions on gold import, etc., in order to make sure that the rate which went up to 68 rupees to a dollar then could be partly corrected. And the current account deficit came under control from 4.7% to 1.7%.
Shri Rapolo.
Union Finance Minister is fond of mentioning a phrase, fiscal prudence. And this fiscal prudence is indicative in his precise answer to this question that between June and October, the measures of UPA have been reflected in the stability of the exchange rate. In its continuation, UPA has taken certain measures regarding the currency market and its stabilization. Are you convinced with the review with the RBI about the measures towards the liquidity tightening of the currency market? Or would you like to have an extra measure for the liquidity stability of the currency market?
Thank you.
Sir, this depends on what the situation at that given moment is. Now, how much liquidity is to be there in the market itself will depend on the current situation of the market. This is a fluid situation, and therefore my reply in all situations to be the same will never take place. Therefore, if the foreign currency situation in this country and the rupee rate stabilizes, you will have one view. If it is a little volatile, you will have another view. Similarly, with regard to the interest rates, since these are regulated by the Reserve Bank, in case there is still a high level of inflation expected, you will have one view. If the inflation moderates, you will have another view. So it will depend on well-settled economic principles itself. But this is a discretion which is decided on basis of these various factors by the Reserve Bank.
Question 205.
205.
So the reply, it's on the same lines that the reply has been.
All answers given by a single minister today, sir.
Please.
Sir, I think time is running out, so I will like to be very quick. No doubt the current account deficit could be contained over the period from a very dangerous level of 4.7%, today 1.7%. And Honorable Finance Minister has detailed out the actions have been being taken on that. My specific question, since the time is running out. Number one, you have a question, my supplementary A is, you have told about disciplining, restricting the gold import. Particularly in that year, on 2012, the economic survey says that total, out of the total domestic investment, a kind of perverse trend has developed where that 7% investment on gold and jewelries out of the total domestic investment as per 2012. That perversion, to what extent it could be contained by your intervention in disciplining on gold import? What is the impact of that in the form of share of domestic investment in non-productive, non-employment generating investment like gold, jewelries, and to some extent real estate?
Question,
if
please.
you kindly tell out. And second, you have taken
One
some action.
question at a time, please.
No, it's a supplementary on the impact of the government's action. Second, on petroleum also you have taken some action which has helped in reducing the oil consumption. What is the real impact? To what extent oil consumption is reduced by your intervention on gold import?
Sir, with regard to the reduction in the quantums in both the commodities, I can send it separately to the honourable member. But the restrictions on gold apparently did bear some result, and that is apparent from the fact that when we had a peak amount of current account deficit of over 88 billion, and that is when the current account deficit reached 4.7%, it came down to 32 billion. And 32 billion is a manageable current account deficit. It came down to 1.7%. Obviously, the steps which were taken with regard to restricting gold, both in terms of duty increase, restricting the number of people who could bring it, as also the other conditions like the 80-20 policy, this apparently seems to have worked, because the proof is in the eating itself. And
what is the share of domestic investment in gold, jewelry?
But
non-productive,
that's a separate figure, which I will send separately to the honourable.
Second supplementary, very quickly, please.
Second supplementary is that you have also taken certain interest steps has been taken to contain non-essential import. My question is, will the finance minister still consider there are still room of containing some more non-essential import in the country, like in steel, where you are bound by a regional agreement by which over a period of time the import duty on steel will down to zero. That will create a disaster for domestic steel producers. Similarly, there are certain other areas where the government will scrutinize and contain further the non-essential imports in the domestic market, which will address the thing.
Thank you.
Interventions in the market in order to contain these things take place when there is a situation which calls for a radical action. If the situation stabilizes, then the governments normally do not intervene in the markets. Governments intervene only when a crisis situation apparently seems to be. Preventive process is also required. Well, I'll pass the suggestion of the honourable member to the Commerce Ministry, which deals with this subject.
Question 206. Question are over. Papers to be laid on the table. Dr. Najma Abdullah.
Sir, I beg to lay on the table of the House a copy, English and Hindi, of the Ministry of Minority Affairs notification dated 5th June 2014, publishing the above properties lease rule 214, along with delay statement listed against my name with today's order paper.
Thank you, Dr. Harshavardhan.
Sir, I beg to lay on the table of the House papers mentioned against my name at serial number 2 of today's revised list of business.
Sri Rao Inderjit Singh.
Sir, I beg to lay on the table of the House a copy of the papers mentioned against my name at serial number 3 in today's revised list of business.
Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman.
Lay on the table of the House the papers listed against my name at serial number 4 in the list of business of Rajya Sabha today.
Motion for election to the National Institute of Mental Health and Neurosciences, Bangalore. Dr. Harshavardhan to move.
Sir, I beg to move that in pursuance of Section 511, read with Section 6.4 of the National Institute of Mental Health and Neurosciences, Bangalore, Act 2012, this House do proceed to elect in such manner as the Chairman may direct one member from amongst the members of the House to be member of NIMHANS, Bangalore, in the vacancy caused by the retirement of Shri S.M. Krishna from the membership of Rajya Sabha on 25th June 2014.
Motion moved. Those in favor, please say aye. Yes. No. No, after this. Let me finish it. No.
मैं पूछना चाहता हूँ
Let me finish.
ये पैथोलॉजी लैब डॉक्टर और जो मीडिएटर है वो लूट कर रहे हैं, नहीं मैं समझ गया, लेकिन ये छोटी सी बात है। इस मामले में डॉक्टर साहब ने कुछ एक्शन भी लिए हैं, लेकिन वो थोड़ा सा इस पे बता दे तो ज़्यादा अच्छा होगा। पूरे देश भर में ये हो रहा, एक जगह नहीं हो रहा, पूरे एनसीआर में हो रहा, बिल्कुल लूट मची है।
No, sir, ठीक है। Motion moved. Those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those against, please say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it, the ayes have it. Motion is adopted. Now, matters to be raised with the permission of the chair, Sir Sri Balwandar Singh Bundar. Yes.
डिप्टी चेयरमैन सर, मैं आपके थ्रू इस हाउस को एक ऐसा हरियाणा सरकार ने एक्ट बनाया जो इलीगल है, अनकॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल है, जो सेंट्रल एक्ट है, वो है श्रोमणी गुरुद्वारा प्रबंधक कमेटी, जो सिखों की बहुत बड़ी, सबसे बड़ी एक संस्था है। और उसके पीछे मैं ये बताना चाहता हूँ कि बनाने के लिए उसको अंग्रेज़ों के साथ 5 साल हमें लड़ना पड़ा और हज़ारों लोग जेलों में गए। 500 की शहादत हुई। 1925 में पार्लियामेंट ने ये एक्ट दिया और उसके बाद जितनी भी कोई अमेंडमेंट हुई, या तो पार्लियामेंट ने की, जब होम मिनिस्ट्री गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया ने बाई नोटिफिकेशन की, लेकिन उन्होंने इलीगल करके पास करके गवर्नर साहब ने उस पर गलत दस्तखत कर दिया, उसको पास कर दिया। इसके लिए सिखों के लिए इतना बड़ा है कि इस लड़ाई में पंडित नेहरू भी जेल में गए। इस लड़ाई में हमारे माननीय डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह जी जो प्रधानमंत्री हैं, उनके पिताजी भी जेल में रहे। और इसके बाद जब हमने ये एक्ट लिया तो महात्मा गांधी जी का टेलीग्राम गया कि आपने पहली आज़ादी की लड़ाई जीत ली है, और उन्होंने सभी ने इसके लिए किया। और इसके अलावा पंडित नेहरू और मास्टर तारा सिंह एक पैक्ट हुआ जिसमें कहा गया कोई भी धार्मिक इशू होगा तो वो श्रोमणी गुरुद्वारा प्रबंधक कमेटी की इजाज़त के बगैर, उनकी कंसल्टेशन के बगैर कोई भी देश में सिखों के लिए जो रिलीजियस कोई भी अमेंडमेंट होगी, कोई भी होगा तो सिखों के साथ मिलकर वो किया जाएगा। लेकिन हमने गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया को लिखा। मैं ये पूछना चाहता हूँ कि अभी मेरी एक डिमांड है, मेरी और मेरी पार्टी की तरफ से, कि गवर्नर को डिसमिस किया जाए जिसने गलत इस पर दस्तखत किए हैं, और नाल ही गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया कहे बताए कि
गवर्नर के बारे में कुछ ना बोलिए।
इसकी तौहीन
ये गवर्नर के बारे में मत बोलिए।
पार्लियामेंट की तौहीन है, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन की तौहीन है। इसके लिए सरकार, देश की सरकार क्या कर रही है? मैं ये पूछना चाहता हूं कि इतना बड़ा गलत काम अनकॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल किया हमारे साथ और पार्लियामेंट के साथ मजाक हुआ है, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल के साथ इतना तौहीन की गई है। इसके बारे में जरूर कहूंगा कि सरकार को कोई ना कोई एक्शन जरूर लेना चाहिए। थैंक यू।
जो गवर्नर के खिलाफ बोला है, those are expense. Whatever is spoken against the governor is expense.
Constitutional act of
No, that is correct. But you cannot discuss the action of the governor other than through a substantive motion. If you bring a motion, I have a problem. बाकी सब है, ठीक है, ठीक है, no, ठीक है।
Totally unconstitutional.
जो गवर्नर के खिलाफ है तो उतना एक्सपेंड करेगा, बाकी कुछ नहीं, बाकी सब रहेगा। Now, Sri Sardar Sukhdev Singh, you are associating? No, you can only associate. No. You now you can. No. The point is, you can associate if you want. Yes.
गवर्नर के खिलाफ जो बात कही वो अलग बात है।
मैंने एक्सप्लेन कर दिया है।
ये भी कहना चाहता हूँ कि हरियाणा सरकार का कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल अथॉरिटी है उसको इस तरह का बिल पास करने की। अगर ऐसा नहीं होता तो दिल्ली में एसजीपीसी अलग कैसे बनती?
ठीक है।
ये हमारी सरकार को पूरा अख्तियार है और संवैधानिक अख्तियार है। 1925 में एसजीपीसी जो बनी।
Now please.
ये
ठीक है।
और ये डिप्टी चेयरमैन सर, this is with the consent of 99% of the Sikhs living in Haryana.
If you want
they
to
demanded
raise
this,
it,
and this
you
was the
can raise
demand
it
of
later.
the entire Sikh.
Now, Sardar Sukhdev Singh didn't start to associate. Is he there? Sardar Sukhdev Singh didn't start नहीं है associate के लिए। Sri P. Rajiv.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Chairman, sir. I would like to invite the attention of the House to an important matter. Thousands of Indian citizens are waiting after submitting the application for getting passport for several months, sir. The delivery of passport has been delayed due to the non-availability of blank passport booklets. Sir, the ways affected on account of the scarcity are applicants who have applied to regular manner. There are two different routes. One is for normal route and one is Talkal route. If you are submitting through the Talkal route, the passport officer should give the passport within 3 days. Now, they are not ready to accept the application itself. Because if they have accepted the application, they have to issue the passport within 3 days, it is mandatory. Now they are not ready to accept the passport through Talkal route. The people are forced to submit the application through normal route. And they have to wait for several months for getting this passport, sir. Sir, the Indian security press in Nasik, owned by the central government, is the sole authority in the country to print currency and banknotes, passport and postage stamps. It was reported in the media, this press is working as just about half of its usual capacity. That is the main reason for the non-availability of passport booklets, sir. Thousands of people who had applied for passport through the normal procedure had to put hold on their plans to travel overseas. And the Honorable Chairman will aware that thousands of people from our state, they are seeking employment in Gulf countries, UAE, Saudi Arabia and other countries. They are compelled to put their plans to abroad. Most of them get the visa in group visa schemes, sir. Sir, the situation is same in all passport offices in our country. Every day, several people called us for getting some relief from this. We are trying to contact the passport offices, but they are helpless because lack of this blank passport booklets, sir. This is a very serious issue. So I urge the government to intervene in this issue and ensure the availability of blank passport booklets and ensure the issuance of passports on time, sir.
Thank you very much. You associate. You want to associate? Yes. Statutory Associate, Sri Professor Saiduddin Sos. Yes, Balgopal, all those associates will be added.
Chairman, sir.
Yeah.
Border Roads, Mr. Deputy Chairman, sir, Border Roads Organization has become entirely defunct in its operational, operations in the field. This organization is so defunct, the Southern can realize that in 10 years they have not been able to complete a bridge on the national highway at Sopore. Entire North Kashmir is in difficulty. This partly happens because retired army officers are put in charge as chief engineers. The present person goes to office without accomplishing any business. The chief minister of the state also went public on this issue, and they said we should lead a protest march on the road against BRO. I am in touch with Government of India, but nothing seems to move. Government of India, one of the senior most leaders, the leader of the House is present. Kindly investigate why a bridge on the national highway at Sopore could not be completed in 10 years. This is on record on flimsy ground, and the entire government is in difficulty, and people of North Kashmir have been put to great hardship. I want a statement from the leader of the House who is present here. Why has this happened? That Major General, retired Major General, should be removed, and somebody should investigate why government of taxpayers' money has been wasted in Jammu and Kashmir on the construction of a bridge which could not be completed in 10 years.
Thank you. Sri Shantaram Naik.
That health minister is in the house, he should pay some attention to this device which I am raising. The cost of medical devices like stents, pacemakers is enough to give anyone heart attack, says a newspaper report. According to Times of India, patients were being forced to pay double or even triple the price for medical devices at hospitals. As most of these devices are not available in the open market, patients can't check prices and are held hostage by hospitals which force them to buy at price they quote. It is said that margins on devices is very high, and profit with respect to sale of these devices, which include stents, implants and pacemakers, to artificial joints, titanium plates and fractures and valves, could range as high as 30%. In fact, devices, medicines and diagnostics could account for as much as 70% of the hospital profit. Some very reputed doctors, as per the reports, are confirming this aspect. Experts feel that making it mandatory to declare the maximum retail price on each device could help cap the price and make companies compete to offer lower prices. However, doctors point out that having an MRP has not prevented profiteering in medicine, with the MRP being fixed high enough to accommodate commissions, since there is no limit on what the MRP can be. Moreover, while MRP is mandatory on everything manufactured in India, many devices are imported and escape this stipulation. Medical devices like implant is of the same level as syringe or bandage. If those can be brought in pharmacies, why not devices? Giving permission to hospitals to trade in these devices with no control on pricing add to the financial agonies of the patients who cannot afford high medical costs. Many government hospitals in the country require patients to buy even normal medicine from outside. India is also known for medical tourism, but rates which are charged for patients who come to India for taking medical treatments in the country. However, charges made for Indian patients should be reasonable and affordable to Indian patients. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Raja, yes. No, Sarajji, I will give you time. I will give, this is now associate. I will give, आपको time नहीं दे रहा. आपको मैं बुलाएगा. उसके yes, Raja. You want to associate, eh?
No, this is, but I have one more.
Oh, then I will call you. Okay, I thought you want to associate. Now, Sri Bhupendra Singh. You, क्या? What is the matter? Associate. You stand up and say you associate. Those who want to associate, stand up and say you associate.
Sir, we all associate.
Yes. Kindly note all the. Kindly note. But however, now please.
It's very important. Sir.
However, I would like to say our minister himself is a doctor. This point raised by Sri Sandharan Naik is very important because every patient who goes to the hospital experience this kind of high cost and high charges. Can you do something about it? Can you do something about it?
Sir, the new government is in the process of formulating a new health policy. And I can assure the members that we are going to address all these very serious concerns of the members, and they will certainly be addressed in the new health policy.
And Balagopal, Sri Bhupendra Singh. What is the point?
Deputy Chairman, sir.
Let me finish it. Sri
As
Bhupendra Singh.
As you know that the Commonwealth Games are there at Glasgow going to be held. A poor girl from a poor family from Odisha, Duti Chand, for no fault of her, has been denied. She has been denied to participate. It is good that the Honorable Railway Minister is also present here. She is working as an employee in the railway. And sir, this poor girl brought laurels for not only for Odisha, for the country, India in the Asian Games. And she has been denied because of her genetic study has been taken without her knowledge. She has not been taken into confidence. There is a formula, there are norms how to examine in cases, but that during the examination, she has made her statement in the newspaper, in public, that she was taken to a doctor. She do not know for what test she has been taken. After the test is over, the reports has to be taken in, those reports should be kept confidential, and only the report is to be told to the coach and the athlete and his family members. No family members was present when she was taken for this examination by a doctor. And sir, moreover, it's unfortunate that she was forced there to sign on undertaking after all tests were made, after the reports came. She was asked to give an undertaking. She was asking for what reason I will give an undertaking. She was forced by other, if you will not make this undertaking, then you will be debarred to participate in the Commonwealth Games. This is most unfortunate, sir. My Chief Minister, Honorable Naveen Patnaik ji, we sent 2 of our ladies coach to Bangalore to know the real, what is real happening there. And because she was totally depressed, she was, sir, whatever there is some in his genetic test, suppose there is something wrong, that should have been also, sir, rectified. And whether there was any complaint, who has complained this, on what complaint this test was made, nothing is known to the athlete. This is another unfortunate.
Okay, time over. What is your demand? That you say and finish. Time over. Okay, mic is over. You associate. Derek O'Brien, Tabenson, all are associating. All are associating. Yes. Yeah. I agree. Yeah. All are, yes. This, yeah, all are associating. I think it is both sides of the house agree with this. Then in that case, why not the government look into it? Yes, kindly look into it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sure, sir.
Please. Sri K. N. Balgopal.
Thank you, sir. Sir, this is regarding the huge power tariff hike recently came into force in Delhi. Sir, the power tariff now, as per the reply yesterday in the House, yesterday it was given to an answer to Honorable Member Sri D.P. Tripathi ji. The government is accepting that there is a power tariff hike. The Electricity Act 2003 empowers the appropriate commission to fix tariff in accordance with the provisions of the Act, and they accepted that 8 to 9% hike is there in Delhi, sir. Last February also there was a 7-8% hike. Sir, now this hike, which the country is also looking to Delhi power tariff hike these days, because the last assembly election, the power tariff hike was a very serious issue of discussion in Delhi. And the government which was in power, the Congress government which was in power, was uprooted by a new party, AAP. And they came to power even though they didn't got the majority. And BJP was also not able to form a government because they were not fighting against this power tariff hike. Now, sir, why I am raising this issue now? Now the central government and the parliament is responsible for the power tariff hike in Delhi. Sir, our honorable finance minister, 2 days back, he presented the budget for Delhi. And Delhi is under the central government control. And if the power tariff is hiking here, sir, one point I want to raise here, sir. C&AG audit is going on these power companies in Delhi. 4 companies, now the C&AG audit, especially Tata and 2 Reliance companies, power audit, tariff audit is going on. And while the C&AG audit, and it was happened not, it was done because of the Supreme Court order and because of the High Court order, the audit. And when C&AG audit is going on in Delhi, it is not a good practice to increase the power again, sir. That is why, sir, this is, sir, in the last Friday, our planning minister said in this house that the government now saying that the regulatory commissions are doing that. But the minister said here that the regulatory commission in difficult sectors follow very divergent practices and require re-examination to, and the government will make some framework for that. Sir, regulatory commission, the government is saying that the regulatory commissions are not functioning properly, and in the name of the regulatory commission, again the BJP government is allowing the Delhi authorities to raise the power tariff in the state. That is not a good practice, sir, especially because this is scrutinized by the Supreme Court and High Court, and if they have some respect to the verdict of the people in the last election, the BJP government have to relook into the matter and rectify the hikes.
Okay, thank you. Sri Avadar Singh Karimpuri.
The future Chief Minister of Delhi is sitting here, sir. So, if he wants to be, so I think he should respond to this the question of the power.
You have been appointed as election commissioner without
no, I'm not,
declare election, without conducting election.
Mr. Harshvardhan is I mean, definitely qualified for that.
So
therefore, let him respond.
You don't want a good Echuridi, you don't want a good health minister.
No, I want. I don't want him to go. But then, his own party will decide. But the point is, let him respond, sir.